Hello and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts, a Centers for Spiritual Living teaching center. I am Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson. I am the founder and the spiritual director. Now, as you are sitting there joining us, you may have questions, any number of questions, such as, who am I? How did I get here? Spiritually integrated arts means what exactly? What is a teaching center? Well, what is Centers for Spiritual Living? What is that? What does that even mean? Or New Thought, or religious science, or science of mind and spirit? You may have any number of questions about this specific community, about the parent organization, CSL, our philosophy, our teaching, our liberation theology. Any number of questions. Feel free to send an email. We look forward to connecting more and building our virtual community, our global community. And if you haven't connected yet on social media, feel free to do so. This is your invitation now. Also, did you know that all of our Sunday messages are archived on our YouTube channel? You can watch it anytime. Now, questions about anything, such as becoming a member. What does that mean? What does membership entail? And if you live somewhere far and already belong to a spiritual community, can you be a member of more than one? The simple answer is yes, you can. Just like you can shop at more than one grocery store, you can attend or be a member of more than one gym. We are building beloved community. So you can do both. You can be a member of both. You can be involved with both. That's what being in spiritual community means. So we welcome you. We invite you. We are so appreciative that you have found this community and that you have joined us today. We bless you. We love you. We welcome you. Live long and prosper. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of our Sunday message. Love you. Connect with you soon. Blessings.
Namaste and greetings. So we're finishing out the month of January. It's already been a month, huh? How in the world does that happen? Wasn't it just Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa? Wasn't it just October and Halloween? Okay, anyhow, the end of the month. What are we talking about? This idea of feeling good. Now, that's the title for today's talk. But as I was marinating over this, I thought about good old Emma Curtis Hopkins, who frequently declared, "My good is my God," and vice versa. Which made me think, well, when we're feeling good, are we also feeling God? So, the Centers for Spiritual Living, the vision statement for the organization is creating a world that works for everyone, or a world that works for all, because it's also including nature and animals and everything. A world that truly does work for all. So, once again, this year we are being invited to put this vision into active practice by intentionally, consciously, and creatively participating in the energy of a grand rising, releasing that old stuff that doesn't work anymore. So let us ask ourselves, what does a world that works for all actually look like? What does that really mean? What action steps are we invited to take in order for our communities to truly put this principle, this vision into practice? Now, we are here for a reason, not specifically because some anthropomorphic God chose, some predestined, but we are here at this time for a reason that we get to choose. We get to think Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He actively chose to get involved in the manner in which he did during the civil rights movement. It's not because that's why he was born. It's not his destiny to have been born, to have been involved in the movement, to have risen to the degree that he rose within the movement simply to be assassinated. Why would that be the demonstration of a good, all that is power, presence, universe, God, etc.? So we're not saying that you were born for a specific, we're saying that you get to choose your reason for being here today. You get to actively and consciously, and that reason can change from moment to moment. I mean, think about, why do I have 10 degrees? Because my interest, my call, my vision in life evolved and changed as time went on. At one time, I thought, yes, I'm going to be a public school teacher, and that's all. And yet it wasn't. So we get to morph and change into, what are we here to do? How do we create a world that works for all? How do we feel good, feel God, while being involved in this transformational change? We are all involved in this grand rising. We are all creating massive ripples, even if the ripple is tiny. It is massive in terms of the energy of consciousness. So as the year progresses, we are being invited to step outside of that comfort zone, step deeper into the growth zone, the evolution zone, and lean into our healing. Lean into what it means to create and co-create a world that truly does work for all, and to feel good while doing so. So feeling good, because it's real easy to, sort of bypass that whole idea of, well, as long as I feel good, it's all good. And yet, no. So if I were to ask you just in general, what do these two words mean? Pleasure, bliss, and what do they have to do with this idea of creating a world that works for all, stepping outside of our comfort zone, stepping into the zone of discomfort in order to grow and evolve, if that's what we're choosing to do. And to what degree do we balance feeling good, meaning, can I feel good even while uncomfortable? Can I challenge the status quo of consciousness and feel good while feeling uncomfortable or feeling awkward or feeling whatever that is in the whole process? Can I grieve and feel happy? Can I feel depressed while also feeling joy? Hmm. Can I mourn while also celebrating and honoring? Because oftentimes we become so bogged down by the either or that we deny ourselves the opportunity to truly be a beneficial presence in the world. We deny ourselves the ability to feel good, thereby feeling God. So, what brings you joy? What feels good to you? What is your bliss? And not just as something, well, I feel good when I go on vacation. Well, how do you bring that feeling good into your regular everyday life? How do you bring bliss into your occupation or your retirement or your whatever it is? And that doesn't mean that every moment is going to, because there are going to be moments when, when I was healing from surgery or even preparing for surgery, there was a lot of not feeling good there. A lot. After surgery, there was a lot of not feeling good there. A lot. Even now, I'm several months post surgery, and there are still moments, mostly emotional, that, yeah, I'm just not liking what I'm feeling. And that doesn't mean that I'm doing something wrong because in the moment I'm not fit. What it means is that I'm acknowledging that I'm a feeling individual, a feeling being, and I am willing to feel what I feel without forcing or suppressing or being addicted to busyness so I don't have to feel. It means I'm willing to go through the process. And within the process, there can be pleasure. Within the process, there can be glimpses of bliss and moments of joy and whatever praise and exultation within there. But I don't have to force it and somehow think that by shoveling snow, I'm supposed to feel bliss as I'm doing this, or on the elliptical at the gym, I should be in bliss. Yeah, not so much. Doesn't have to be that. But it's figuring out where is the balance between, so that even in the midst of whatever this is that is not comfortable, not pleasant, not that even within there are the threads of pleasure and bliss and feeling good because I feel God, because I know God is ever present. And in this ever presence, we as humanity, as Marianne Williamson says, humanity is a group of infinitely powerful creatures. And it's precisely because we feel God. We feel the God presence that is us, that gives us the ability to shift and grow and change and create, to love. And therein lies our power. But if I'm not plugged into it, if I'm not conscious of it or aware of it, then I'm going to feel powerless. And if I am within a system that denies me the ability, then the system creates an indoctrinated realm of powerlessness whereby we're going to remove this, we're going to deny you that, we're going to suppress this. And now you are a slave to whatever the system is, and there is no power for you in this system. And yet, that which is the true power of our being, no system can deny. No system can oppress or suppress. So when we can tune in, plug into the truth of our being, then we recognize how truly powerful we are. And then we rise up. We rise up in consciousness. We rise up as a people, and we change the systems. Because, precisely as Marian says, we are a group of infinitely powerful creatures. Infinitely powerful. So what are we using our power to do? Create a world that works for all? How are we doing that? What are we using our power to create? Because if we pause for a moment and simply think about all of the various things that humanity has created, how many things come to mind in any and all of these areas? How could we think that as a species, as creatures, as beings, that we are powerless? Because we have created some amazing and beautiful and truly life-changing things in all of these areas. Why not continue to do so, but now do so in a way that nurtures and nourishes and supports a world that works for all? So when we are talking about, we'll say cosmetics, there was a time when animals were being used as the guinea pigs, as the test subjects for chemicals. And these animals were being, in essence, being tortured and murdered simply so someone could wear lipstick or mascara. We create a world that works for all, including animals, so animal testing is no longer necessary in any way, shape, or form. Is it possible to elevate science and biology to such a degree that animal testing of any kind can become obsolete? Is that possible? Now, one may immediately say, well, no, that's not possible. We have to have animals to test medicine on. And what if we're thinking too small? What if, like Stephen Strange, Doctor Strange told Mordo, you lack imagination? What if that's the thing that we're invited into, a new realm of creative possibilities that says, well, what if? What if we could create a system of science and medicine technology where no animal testing is necessary ever? What if? How do we truly step into a new paradigm of co-creation, creation, evolution? Ralph Waldo Emerson says every revolution was first a thought in one person's mind. And when the same thought occurs in another person, it is the key to that era. What is the thought that we have within CSL or within New Thought? A world that works for all? Is that same thought occurring in the minds of others? If it is, then is it the key to this era? Is it the key that is unlocking the shackles so that we can truly live and experience that world? And what does it mean to do so? So it's easy to think of revolution, French Revolution, the American Revolution. Like, it's easy to think of revolution and think of war and think of fighting and think of all that stuff. Yes, yes, yes. We rise up. Wake up, people. Wake up and fight. But in a world that works for all, we're not simply fighting. We have to have a revolution of love, where love is being used as the healing balm, the healing medicine, the key for that era. And so when we fight, what we are actually doing is freely inspiring goodness. I am free to inspire goodness. I am free to inspire healing and truth in how I live, move, and have my being. Do you freely inspire goodness? Do you freely inspire healing? In your own life and collectively, do you freely inspire truth? What does it mean to freely inspire goodness, health, wholeness, wellness, truth, the infinite power of love? How do we show up as that? As the very demonstration of that freely. Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, says, ideas exist eternally in wisdom. They are made manifest through will, and that manifestation is called consciousness. It is through them that the universe is brought into manifestation. Wisdom, will, and consciousness. How does this connect with our mental equivalents? Wisdom, will, and consciousness. Now, in the grand scope of things, it's all consciousness. Will exists within consciousness. Wisdom exists within consciousness. Knowledge and intelligence exists within consciousness. So in the grand scope of things, how do we bring the universe into manifestation? Thought, word, emotion and feeling, and action. Whatever it is. So remember that slide before when it talked about visual arts and science and clothing, and all of it started first as an idea within someone's mind. And then there was some element of whether it was communication expressed or impressed. They may not have shared the idea. So this is inner dialogue. So if I create these blue jeans, I need a new Jordache. I think I'm going to call these new jeans Jordache. And then I'm going to create some baby dolls called Cabbage Patch. Oh my goodness. The idea may have not been spoken or shared in writing, in an email, in a text, in a letter. It may have simply been an internal dialogue impressing the idea and this vision within the consciousness and the mental equivalent, so that now the emotions and feelings, it feels good to have these ideas. It feels good to create. I'm in my bliss when I am expressing this. And then action. I do something. I sew the jeans or draw the jeans, then sew them, collect the fabric and then sew them. I collect the fabric and sew and create these funny looking little Cabbage Patch baby doll things. Just saying. So we want to bring the universe into manifestation. Thought, all of our beliefs and paradigms and all that stuff. Words, all of the ways in which we communicate externally or internally and internally. Emotions and feelings as the fuel, and then our actions. So, what ideas do you currently have? If I were to ask you, what are your ideas about effective politics? What are your ideas about universal health care? What kind of ideas, what kind of thoughts do you have regarding any of this? Because those ideas, whatever they may be, are thoughts. And what do we often say? Thoughts are things. Thoughts are units of energy. So when we're thinking, when we have ideas, what are we doing? In some way, shape, or form, we are creating. Now, normally, when you look at this image, what comes to your mind? What do you see when you look at this image? Do you think God reaching out to touch Adam? Because that's where it originally comes from. This image is Sistine Chapel, God reaching out to touch Adam. And in this idea, we think of God as separate and Adam as separate, and there's space in between. But what if M.C. Escher had a more effective or more accurate idea of this creation, where that which is God is drawing itself as you, and you are redrawing God, which is you, as itself, yourself, one self, infinitely connected, never separate, because it can't be separated. So, as the M.C. Escher drawing, it's the hand of the universe, the hand of God, drawing on paper the universe itself, which is also God. You on the paper, God, the universe, being drawn and redrawing, always inseparable. How do we, once again, feel God, feel the power and presence as being expressed? That your thoughts are drawing, your words are drawing, your emotions and feelings and your actions are drawing on the very fabric, the very paper, the very substance that is the universe. You are creating and co creating all the time. Does that feel good? Because for many of us, it feels very scary to realize, whoa, what? And as Nicole Hannah Jones says, facing the truth liberates us. Facing the truth of who and what you are liberates you. Realizing that what you are is the divine liberates you. That's why this is a liberation, a new thought liberation theology. Facing the truth of who and what you are liberates you. And in that liberation, it liberates us to build a society, a world that works for all. Facing the truth liberates us to build the society we wish to be. That society, a world that works for all. Facing the truth gives us the ability to do this. Are we willing to truly face the truth? To live according to that which is true? To show up as the embodiment of that which is true? Because if we are, then it means we are also willing to challenge that which is untrue. And oftentimes within New Thought, we don't like conflict. We don't like, discomfort. We will bypass that in a woo rather than. So pause and ask yourself, am I truly willing to live as best I can in alignment with the truth, the whole truth, and only that which is truth? Breathe. Bell Hooks offers, the heart of justice is truth telling. Seeing ourselves and the world the way it is rather than the way we want it to be. In other words, don't bypass. Don't make up. Make America great again. No. What? What kind of mythology? No, 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 no. Mm-mm, mm-mm. We're not going down that road. You are not going to nostalgia your way through bypass to somehow create this illusion of mm-mm. The heart of justice is telling the truth. And telling the truth means seeing things the way they are. Because only by seeing things the way they are can we change them to become what we desire them to become. If we are unwilling to see them for what they are, and we would rather create an illusion of everything's perfect, it's all God, it's all good, won't He do it? Then you're not going to get to the other side of, because you're not willing to tell the truth and be the truth and live the truth. So there's no way you can get there. If I'm doing a math equation and I refuse to acknowledge that 2 is a 2 and 2 is a 9, because I don't want 2 to be 2. God forbid 2 is ever a 2. So 1 plus 2 would equal 3. 1 plus 2 equals 3. But I don't want 2 to be 2. I want 2 to be 9, because 9 is what I want it to be. So now it's 1 plus 9. Well, now it's 10. Well, 10 is the wrong answer because I'm denying the truth about what the 9 is. So I'm going to get 10 consistently. 10. 1 plus 9 is 10. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10 to 10, 10. Come on now. It's a 2. Call it for what it is. Is this not why the mythos of the exorcism, the practice of the exorcist and the exorcism, is to get the demon to say its name? Because once you have the name, you have the nature, and thereby you can control it. You have to call a thing a thing. Don't bypass, and racism does not exist. White supremacy does not exist. The world is, don't do that, because you're going to continually get 10. And 10 is not a world that works for all, because you're screwing up the equation by malpracticing the principle of math. The heart of justice is telling the truth and seeing ourselves and the world the way things are in order to change them into what we desire it to be as a world that works for all with true equity and justice, rather than denying and creating this facade based on what we want it to be, because we don't want to do the work, don't want to tell the truth. So I'm going to create a facade, and I'm going to live in the facade. Okay, I hear you. If I say this is a hamburger, cheeseburger, and I create the facade of it's a hamburger, it's a cheeseburger, you thought I was going to put it in my mouth, didn't you? How many of these can I eat and be nourished by them because I've convinced myself what I want it to be rather than what it truly is? How many of us do that with relationships? It's a relationship, it's what I want it to be versus what it actually is. Because I've been in some pretty toxic relationships, and I stayed in them for a while because of what I wanted them to be rather than what they were, and being willing to live, move, and have my beingness in the truth. Truth telling is the heart of justice. So when we encounter untruths, let us pause and ask, what's going on in the consciousness of this individual who is living or telling or sharing an untruth? What is it that an untruth benefits the person? Now, there are times when telling a quote unquote lie may truly save someone's life. I'm not talking about those. We're talking about when we lie to ourselves and thereby lie to others about, oh, everything's good, I'm fine. No, oh, yeah, no, 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 no. Oh, yeah, no, no, everything's good. But you got fired from your job. You're one paycheck away from being unhoused. You broke your sobriety. You Why not just tell the truth and actually, right? So pause when you know that someone is not being honest with you without judgment. Simply be present or yourself when you realize that wasn't the truth. What was the lie giving me the opportunity to avoid? What discomfort was the lie giving me the opportunity to avoid? Breathe. Dr. Cedar Barstow says being accountable for our behavior and caring about our impact on others brings deeper and more authentic relationships. More authentic relationships. Peace of mind and peace of heart follow and flow naturally. It's all about relationship building. Relationship with ourselves is relationship with God. Relationship with one another, relationship with God. Relationship with technology and stuff, relationship with God. Relationship with nature, relationship with God. Hands drawing hands, it's all one. So, when we are accountable for our behavior within the relationship and we care about our influence and impact, how it affects others, relationship, we develop more authentic and heart centered relationships that are truly nurturing and caring and supportive. And in that, we find peace of mind, peace of heart, serenity, pleasure, bliss. But are we willing to do the work that this is inviting and calling us to? Breathe. So, as the new year begins and continues to go, we are called to actively and consciously have a new thought, to actively and consciously bring the ideas and the visions of a world that works for all to fruition. Living a grand rising means being a sort of death doula so that we can release the old, outdated paradigms and habituated thought forms that have become concretized in physical form. Are we willing to let that go in order to live, move, and have our beingness in a world that truly works for all? This week's declaration or affirmation, I will say it first. And if it resonates with you, say it with me on the second go round. I am co creating, cooperating, and collaborating to manifest a world that works for everyone, that works for all. Together. I am co creating, cooperating, and collaborating to manifest a world that works for all. And so it is. This week's journal questions or the Thursday evening study questions. Number one, what does a world that works for all mean to you? What might it look like in the various areas that we live, move, and have our beingness in, such as education, healthcare, politics, religion and spirituality, housing, business or corporate business, all of business. A world that works for all. How might it look in these and other areas? Number two, what in your life is ready for hospice? In other words, what old paradigms, what old habits are you ready to release and let die? What are you still holding on to? It's still operating within your life. What might that be? And if you're not sure, are you willing to ask someone else what they have observed? Sometimes we're not aware that we've got spinach in our teeth. We've got crust in the corner of our eye, but someone else sees it. Are we willing to let them tell us what they witness so that we may better know? Well, what old paradigms am I still operating based on? And lastly, in what ways are you creating, co creating in your community, in your spiritual community or center, your family, the larger CSL community or New Thought, etc.? The patterns and systems of a world that works for all. How are you creating, co creating the patterns and systems of a world that works for all in any of these areas or all of these areas? And in what ways could you do so if you are not currently doing so? Breathe. As we enter into that space of prayer, simply recognizing and acknowledging the isness and allness, the seamlessness of God, hands drawing hands, God living, moving, and having its beingness in, through, and as all that is, including each and every one of us. That which it is present always. It feels good to recognize that which it is, I feel it. That which it is, I see it. That which it is, I hear it, taste it, touch it. That which it is, I experience it in all of the ways that I am able to experience it. And this doesn't mean that someone who is unable to see or unable to hear or unable to mobility related things, it doesn't mean that somehow they are incapable of experiencing God to the degree that some. No, 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 no. Each of us experiences it to the maximum that we are able to experience our own selves. So the degree that I am able to experience God as the incarnation of this cisgender black man who is gay, who is a comic book nerd, etc., is the degree to which I am able to experience and feel God. By fully embracing and experiencing myself, I experience and embrace and embody the self. And what I know to be true for me is true for all of us. It's true for everyone. Everyone here live now and everyone watching this later. It's true for all. There is only one mind, and that mind is God. There is only one life, and that life is God. And that mind is your mind now. That mind is my mind now. That life is all life now, right now. And knowing this is the truth. And it is this truth that is the key. It is this truth that sets us free. It is this truth that we are invited to step more fully into in order to create and manifest a world that works for all. To bring more ideas and creative possibilities, ideas for things we have never even thought of as of yet. In the same way that if we were able to time travel to 1712 and show them a smartphone, what is that? I don't know what that is. They had no idea at that time. And yet, at some point, someone had the idea. Someone acted on the idea. Someone manifested the idea. And now that idea is a global tool being used. Well, what if the revolution of love is the same thing? An idea that we act on, a tool that we use, something we manifest that now has become a global phenomenon and a global experience, a world that works for all. But it starts right here, being willing to have the idea, being willing to catch the vision, being willing to live the mission, being willing to align one's purpose and values with this truth, to be the very embodiment of it. And knowing that that's who and what we are. As I say this, I know that the law receives it fully, without hesitation. And because the law receives and it acts accordingly, I know with gratitude and joy and pleasure and the bliss that that means it is already manifesting, it is already birthing, it is already forming in the minds and in the heart and in the spirit of more and more and more and more, as that tipping point of consciousness, and more and more, and the collective consciousness now tips. And a world that works for all is a lived reality, a lived experience. Breathing, I surrender this because I know it is done. Breathing, I surrender this because I know it is true. Breathing, I surrender it because I know that it is done. And being done, I now go out and live as one who knows this, who is free in this, who feels good to know this, feels God to live this. It is answered prayer. And so it is. So it is. Much love, appreciation, and blessings. See you over in Zoom.